Hey everyone, I'm Phil and I'm back to talk more about navigating liver disease together. In this episode, we'll talk about liver enzymes and why they're important. We'll go over the different test scores that coincide with liver enzymes and how they affect your body, what they're supposed to do, what they might be up to if you find out they're elevated. I've had a few conversations with people that have asked me whether or not they should go get their blood work done and be tested for liver enzymes or elevated liver enzyme levels. And my message to them, going through what I've been through, better safe than sorry, and have your blood drawn and they can take a look at these levels for you. If they're normal, you're good to go. If not, then you probably need to address your habits, your drinking, or you may have something going on otherwise that would indicate non-alcoholic related fatty liver disease or hepatitis or cirrhosis. So what we'll talk about today is the two major tests, liver enzymes, that affect your overall liver health. The first one being ALT, which is an enzyme found mostly in the liver, which aids in metabolism. If there are elevated levels in your blood, that would indicate that it is not being contained and doing its job in the liver. The second enzyme is AST. This enzyme is found mostly in the liver, but also in the muscles, and it helps metabolize amino acids. Again, if the levels in your blood are elevated, it means it's not being mostly contained and doing its job in the liver. So there could be an indication of some liver damage and it's leaking out into your bloodstream. If you have elevated ALT and AST levels in your blood work, you'll probably be referred to a hepatologist. That's a doctor that specializes in the liver function as well as the bile ducts and the pancreas. So then they would run further tests and establish what it actually is that's causing your elevated enzymes in your liver. And that might be drinking. It might be something else that is non-alcoholic related. Mine, unfortunately, was. So what they did at that point was do a complete workup of my blood, and then they check 4 things in my blood work. Those 4 things being sodium level, bilirubin, creatinine, and INR. What they do is take those 4 numbers from your blood work and they do a calculation. There's an actual formula and they come up with an index that spits out how sick your liver really is and whether or not you can be treated with diet and medication and lifestyle changes, or whether you have to go down the road that I went down, which is transplant. This MELD score, MELD, stands for Model for End-Stage Liver Disease. It ranges from 6 to 40, 6 to 9 being normal, and 40 literally knocking on heaven's door. What they use that MELD score for, if you are 15 and above, the level at which they can refer you to a transplant clinic or program. When I went to the emergency room and was diagnosed with cirrhosis, my end-stage liver disease was far enough along already at that point that my MELD score registered at a 19. Now, over the course of the next year, being sober, taking medication, following a diet that's low in sodium, low in sugar, my MELD score continued to rise, which is an indication of irreversible damage and that the liver would need to be replaced. I was referred to Swedish Hospital in Seattle, their transplant program. Went through all the phases that you need to go through to get listed, meaning blood work, CT scans, immunizations, everything. There's so many boxes to check. You got to check them all, Meanwhile, maintaining your sobriety, maintaining medication, diet, everything. So at like a 6-month baseline of not drinking and your score is still climbing, then they take it in front of their board, all of your information, and that board decides whether to approve you for transplant or to be listed for transplant at that time. Once that is approved, then that gets sent to your insurance for them to review and approve. Once that's approved, then you go take one more blood test to be listed at. And what I mean by listed at, your final MELD score before your first listing will be your spot on the list as far as severity and need. Instead of a first come, first served basis, they use your MELD score to define how quickly you need a liver transplant. So when I went in, I was at a 24 and in a very, very fortunate kind of sweet spot where I wasn't super sick, like in the hospital waiting for transplant. And it also gives you a better chance to have a successful recovery after transplant. 25 and above don't do as well as 24 and below do in recovery from a surviving being on the wait list and surviving the transplant surgery in recovery. That being said, the enzyme levels that we've spoken about, ALT, AST, MELD, determine the health of your liver and how severe your potential disease might be, or if you're just good to go. The ranges for ALT in your blood work are 7 to 55 units per liter, AST 8 to 48 units per liter, and then your MELD score, if you get that far, hopefully none of you ever do, but the point of this whole journey is to speak to everyone, but in particular, if it can help somebody that has to go get a transplant, your MELD scores define your mortality rate. Below 9, that's normal, you're good. 10 and up, you're kind of in that area where you need to adjust diet, entertain the thought of medication and lifestyle changes. 15 referral rate, and the mortality levels speak to that. 6% of people observed die within 90 days, within 3 months. If you're a 20 to 29, there's about a 20% chance that you will die within 3 months. A 30 to 39 is about 50-50 over 3 months. And then 40 is about 71%. So that MELD score is pretty serious stuff. And again, the powers that be, UNOS, the United Network for Organ Sharing, uses MELD scores to prioritize the distribution of organs, in my case livers, from deceased organ donors to a matching recipient, and the severity and priority that they apply to it. So first you come in on the list at your MELD score number, and then a blood type, geographical location, and then the person has to be similar size. The size of liver that you receive has to be commensurate with the space in your body or the liver that you already have. In a nutshell, that's us addressing liver enzymes, ALT, AST. If your levels are in normal range, you're good to go. No worries. If they're elevated, we've laid out the next steps with seeing a hepatologist. MELD score prioritization, what each MELD score range means as far as severity and mortality rate. So I hope this was helpful to everyone. A doctor walks in on a pregnant woman and her husband. They're ready to give birth, and the doctor says, "I'm here to deliver." And the dad goes, "I'd rather the baby keep the liver." Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, comment below. There will be links to the sources that I use to research this information for everybody, along with affiliate links for products that we've used to film, whether they be to Amazon or other affiliates that we have. If you do click on those links, we do get paid a small amount of commission, and that will go towards helping the channel grow and become better. Please comment. Feedback is always welcome. I appreciate you taking this journey with me and us. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.